Good morning, students. I welcome you to today's General English class. So, today we are about to start a new lesson. It's a poem, and the title of this poem is The Voice of the Rain. The name of the poet is Walt Whitman. In this video, you will find the first part of the poem, which also includes a small introduction to the poet. So, without much delay, let us start our class. Walt Whitman is an American poet, essayist, and journalist who is known for his humanism. He was a humanist who believed in the philosophy of transition between transcendentalism and realism, and very often we find both the views incorporated in most of his major works. He is considered to be one of the most influential and powerful American poets. He is also known for his experimentation with free verse, and he is very often considered to be the father of this form of poem. Free verse does not use any fixed structure. It is very much prosaic, and here a poet is able to note down or pen down his feelings freely without being restricted by rhyme scheme, notes, or any other literary technique. So, as such, this kind of poetry where there is no fixed structure is called free verse. And Walt Whitman had experimented with this free verse a lot. The given poem, The Voice of the Rain, is also an example of free verse. Walt Whitman was born on 31st May 1819 in a place called West Hills, New York, United States. And he died on 26th March 1892 in Camden, United States, a place in New Jersey. Some of his memorable poems include Leaves of Grass, Song of Myself, O Captain, My Captain, Song of the Open Road, and so on. He had won many notable awards, including the Golden Kite Award for his picture book illustration. This information has been collected from Wikipedia and the sources internet. Now let us start with the first part of the poem, The Voice of the Rain. Walt Whitman. And who art thou, said I, to the soft falling shower, which, strange to tell, gave me an answer, as here translated. So, as you can see, the poem starts with a question, and this question is being asked by the poet, who is the speaker here, to the soft falling shower. Soft falling shower, that means a mild drizzle, the light and soft rain that we generally experience during summers. It's reference to that soft falling shower. It means that it was drizzling softly, and right at that moment, the poet questions, who art thou? Art and thou, you might have noticed that these two words are not in use. Art means are, A-R-E, and thou means you. So the question is, who are you? Now you must remember that art and thou, these are archaic words. Archaic, that means old words which are not in use at present, right? So the poet questions the rain, the mild drizzle, as to who it is, which, strange to tell, it is very strange for the poet to tell us, tell the readers, gave me an answer as here translated. It is strange, it is very shocking, not only for the poet, but when he tells this fact to his readers, even the readers would be finding it strange that an inanimate thing like a rain has a voice and can answer back to a question put by the poet. But then he also writes, as here translated. Translated means changing from one language to another language, which indicates that the answer that was given by the rain could not be understood by general readers like us, but only by a poet like Whitman, who translates the message for our understanding. Okay, and what is the answer that our poet has translated below? So I suppose you understand the first two lines. The poet is raising a question to a soft falling shower, a mild drizzle, that who it was, and the soft falling shower responds back, which is very strange enough, but the answer, it has been translated by the poet for our understanding. I am the poem of earth, said the voice of the rain. Eternal I rise, impalpable, out of the land and the bottomless sea. So, what is the answer that the rain gives? The rain answers that it is the poem of earth. Now, why does it call itself to be the poem of earth? It means that it is the product of, it is the creation of the earth. It is from the earth that the rain originates, right? As such, he calls itself, or rather the rain addresses itself as the poem of earth. Eternal I rise. It adds that it rises up eternally. Now, what do you mean by this? Eternal I rise, impalpable. Impalpable means something that you cannot touch or even see. So, you might have noticed that when water evaporates, you cannot see. It vanishes. It has no form, because evaporation means transformation of liquid water to gaseous vapors, and vapors are impalpable, right? So this process of evaporation is a constant process. It keeps on occurring though we do not see it or feel it. So what does the rain do? It keeps on rising, it keeps on going up in the form of vapors. From where? Out of the land and the bottomless sea. Even land has moisture. That moisture also keeps on evaporating. And the bottomless sea, the depth of the sea, from the ocean, water keeps on evaporating. See, bottomless sea. Why is the poet calling the sea as bottomless? Because you cannot measure the depth of the sea. It is as if a bottom doesn't exist. Okay, so the rain, or rather The water, it keeps on evaporating from the ocean, from the land and the sea and the various other water resources upwards, okay, upward to heaven, whence vaguely formed, altogether changed and yet the same. So, where does the vapors move? Upward to heaven. Heaven here implies sky. Okay? Sky, whence. Whence means it's another archaic word which means where. That means the water vapors move upward constantly from the land and the bottomless sea to the sky, where vaguely formed, altogether changed, and yet the same. After reaching the sky, there is a change that takes place. And what is the change? These vapors, they go and collect, they form. This process is also called condensation process. Okay, so when it reaches the sky, cooling starts happening. Okay, and when the vapors cool, they form tiny droplets of water, and thus clouds are formed, vaguely formed, altogether changed and yet the same. The impalpable vapors that we couldn't see when it rises up suddenly takes the shape of clouds. Now it becomes visible, but ultimately the fact is that it is the same water that has gone upwards from land and bottomless sea. So the rain says that yes, I am changed. I am altogether changed from vapors to something that is vaguely visible. Vague means it's unclear, hazy. You might have noticed that clouds are hazy. They do not have a concrete or permanent shape. They keep on changing their shape. That's why vaguely formed, altogether changed, and yet the same water vapor that has traveled from the land and the sea to heaven, the sky. And then what happens next? I descend. So once it reaches the sky, after it forms the clouds, and the clouds start become heavier, they gradually come down. I descend to lave the drops, atomies, dust layers of the globe. So, what is the poet saying, or rather, what is the rain saying? The rain saying is that it comes down, it descends. Descends means to come down. So, the rain comes down, the water droplets, they come down to lave the draughts. Laving the draughts. Laving the draughts means washing away the drought. I suppose you understand what is the meaning of drought. Aridity. Okay? Atomies, small particles, unseen particles, dust layers of the globe. So, dust layers, dust that covers up the surface of the earth. You might have noticed a dusty road. There is so much of pollution these days. You might have noticed when there is, for a long time a land surface doesn't receive rainfall, the sand or the earth, it cracks down, the plants, they die. Okay, so that condition is called drought. Okay, and what else? And all that without me were seeds only, latent, unborn. Not only that, the rain also gives life to those seeds which were hidden, which were latent. Latent means something that remains below the surface, because a seed remains under the earth. hidden from people's sight, unborn. It is not born until and unless it receives rainfall. So once the rain starts falling, the earth becomes soft, the seed, it receives water and it breaks out, it germinates, it sprouts into a new plant. As such, the various functions that the rain performs, while it comes down, it washes away the droughts, the dryness, the aridity of the land. It washes away the particles, the small, pollutants that cover up the atmosphere of the earth. And it washes away the dust layer, the layer of unseen particle, the dust that covers up the entire globe. And not only that, it also helps to provide water that is essential for the seeds to germinate. And thus, it covers up, it performs several functions while it comes down. Thus, with the coming of the rain, the entire planet becomes green and filled with water, different kind of plants and different kind of flowers. It becomes a beautiful place to live in. So here the rain is trying to justify the significance, the role that it plays forever, constantly on earth. So in this part, what have we seen? We have seen that the poet is questioning the mild result and he is surprised to receive the answer, where the rain goes on to explain its own cycle. It is simply, if you go on to see, I suppose you have gone through the scientific explanation of the water cycle when you were in either class 6 or 7. You might have got that in your school time. So the entire scientific process of the water cycle, that has been here beautifully, poetically represented. How the water, it evaporates, it condenses and it falls back, the process which we also called precipitation. The water falls down in the form of rain, and once again it comes to fill up the various water bodies that it had left, and thus the cycle keeps on continuing. So this much for today. Please go through these lines, see if you have understood. In case you have any doubts, please contact me. Thank you very much.